What's up, my fellow humans? It's your good friend Dan. Out here in the Olympic Peninsula, not far from where they buried those hookers not long ago. In fact, hold on a second. On that topic alone. No, hold on a second. Gotta balance myself out here, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you know what I'm saying. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Yeah. And that's as much of that as you need. Anywho, haven't done any regular podcasts in a while. This is going to be what I'm going to be doing right now because the camper, it's kind of cold. I'm kind of taxed out on energy as far as my electricity. If I use too much, I'm afraid I'm going to flip that breaker, which is down in the field, buried under some snow and ice with some treacherous things like land spikes. You know, when people, they don't totally cut the little tree down, but they leave a little bit of a land spike, you know, so you can have the good luck of maybe, I don't know, being impaled. Anyways, that fits with my coyote journey, so that fits. Because the coyotes would just come in and they take care of business. That's the key topic. If you want to know the truth, the coyotes take care of business, baby. Anywho, I've had a weird couple days, in part because, believe it or not, I kind of like to be wrong, given my perspectives of the last decade. I more or less came to some conclusions in 2015 that told me that about 5 years in the future, shit would start going sideways. And I don't think I was the only person who saw it coming. I do think a lot of us have been a bit mystified by the sideshow, the freaks. And I'll even admit to that too, to some extent, and that's what I'm about to talk about. So I got a Twitter account again. I'm on Twitter. At Dan Sully, 2023 or something? Let's double check that bullshit. Yeah. If you give a fuck. Dan Sully, that's DANSULLY 2023. There you go. That's my Twitter. I sit on the shitter and I do my Twitter on the Santa can. You could, because the Santa can can't. The Santa can man, because he mixes it with green and makes the goo taste good. And that's where shamrock shakes come from. I made some shamrock shakes this morning. Anyways, I can be really harsh when I am dealing with people and what I call their bugbears. And when I use the term bugbear, I mean a fear that you or I could reasonably assume is kind of crazy, kind of irrational. And you could make the argument, and I think it's a reasonable argument, that I could be more understanding, and I should be. But I will say this. I have my own bugbear. In the summer of 2018, I lived in Seattle, and what was going on up and down the West Coast, people were calling fire season, and that was really gaslighting. I grew up here. I know what fire season looks like. My dad was a logger. What was happening in 2018 was not fire season. It was something worse. And I wanted answers. And it wasn't I'm going to join the Green Party and blame cars and blame cheeseburgers. I'm a rational enough person to remove that from my list. But it's like this question. Like if you ask yourself this question, you know when people mock the idea of carbon sequestration? Well, it does sound absurd. But in reality, there is a kind of carbon sequestration that works. And it's called the permafrost. You have all these rivers that flow north. They're going to take carbon out of the atmosphere every growing season. That stuff ends up building up over time. And what you have around the Arctic Circle, under normal circumstances, when the air conditioner and the freezer is working, what you have is both excess carbon sequestration and you have an air conditioner. And the thing is, like most things in life, if this is true, nothing is guaranteed. If people want to like blame storm and say, oh, it's because people ate cheeseburgers, I gotta say, the best analogy to my bugbear, the one that I think about in terms of Bo Blimp Doc, in terms of worst case scenario, the best analogy is like some fucking World War II artillery round. And for decades, every fucking French farmer and his son and his son and his daughter and his daughter and his son, they went around with a plow and they never hit that artillery shell the right way, and they were okay. They were okay. You should find those dudes, what? Explosive EOD? Yeah, get EOD. Anyways, if you come across a mine or an unexploded round, contact an organization that's equipped to deal with it. Separate topic. But if the permafrost has a dark side, it is in a sense that at some point you could have an event that changes the dynamic. And it changes it enough that all of a sudden the air conditioner becomes wonky. And all of this organic material that's been building up for tens of thousands of years starts to thaw out. And then it becomes a math problem. You know, basically, at what rate do microorganisms reproduce? At what rate do bacteria convert all of this organic material to methane and CO2 and nitrous oxide? At what rate? It's a math problem. And it's probably not linear. And if people were to go back and say, well, Jesus, Dan, if we never used oil, I don't know. I find that to be foolish. And let me even say one more thing. If I were right about this, I'm a Christian. So I can tell you all I'm really describing is the next bloody narrative. Because the truth is, if it were to be a thing as a Christian, my most likely explanation is that this is more of that stage building. But here's what I'll stick with. I think they're hiding a fuzzy event. I think the window for hiding it could not possibly be more than 5 years, given the types of psyops they're using. I mean, using a lot of trauma-based mind control, a lot of divide and conquer, a lot of wounded on the battlefield. You can't do that to a population continuously and not expect people to go batshit crazy and to frankly just give up on society altogether. So I figured 5 years you can do that bullshit. Honestly, when I was first talking about this in 2020, I thought Snow Day, which is what I called it, the bank holiday, because I knew it was a psyop, but at first I thought, well shit, this is just 2008 redone, the biggest fucking heist ever. It's a heist movie. We're fucked. It is. Actually, I did a podcast in early 2019. It was called Screwbally. If you want to find it on my archives, if somehow the internet allows you to. And in Screwbally, I talk about it. Like maybe it was just Screwbally. The bank holiday. The fantastic monkey herpes that, you know, saved Jimmy Stewart. But it lasted longer than that. And then it took on other forms, like the BLM bullshit, like the never-ending Putin, Trump, Biden trauma drama. I don't know what the fuck's going on in the Ukraine, but frankly, most of the people I know have no better information than the media. And at this point, I don't trust any of it. I don't even trust your favorite fucking YouTube channel. You probably have one. I don't trust it. But the truth is, this is my bugbear. Okay? If you were to ask me, when I talk about best case and worst case scenarios, because I'll be honest with you, my best case scenario is still probably way fucking scarier than most people. But best case scenario, the fuzzy event that they're managing is total economic collapse. And they know it's coming, probably, you know, it's like that road to Route A. It's like the rational curve guy when he talks about, Greenspan, maybe they always knew this is how the party would end. Maybe they actually had a model that said, at this point in the future, your magical, fantastic torpedo ride of completely batshit crazy fiat currency ceases to function. You better mind fuck people. You better build a bunker system someplace where they can't get to you. It could be that. Okay? I know it's a fuzzy event, but there's lots of things that are fuzzy events. If it was a comet or a meteor, that fits into the nuclear war category. They wouldn't tell us about it. It would just be over. So it's not a discrete event. It's something that they have a probability window for over a period of time, A to B. I assumed 5 years. It's an assumption. We are now in year 5. So, which means next year I can call bullshit on myself. I can stop smoking cigarettes and stop drinking Rainier beer in a camper. I can get you into my 12-level system. Say goodbye to your bugbears, your monkey herpes, your magical black-clad commies guarded by cops. Say goodbye to your rubber fucking cones and your arrows in the stores. Say goodbye to wearing that coffee filter when you're walking to the booth, but not when you're sitting down. It's a magical brown when you're sitting down, right? You take off the coffee filter, and that monkey herpes cannot harm you. But if you're walking around the restaurant, if you don't follow the arrows, don't cover your nose, the monkey herpes will come for you and your Frenchie and your entire cadre. They'll find your Dlingus Corps and your Frontic troop. But like I said, I owe you an apology. If you follow me on Twitter, I talked about my bugbear. It's my bugbear. It is my worst case scenario. And it has its own sort of branches and sequence between worse and, okay, what if it's true? What if the permafrost is in collapse? What is the worst case? And if you listen to some of the scare people out there, they'll tell you Venus syndrome. And maybe that's true. I don't know. I honestly think as a Christian, another fuzzy event is the revelation. And if I look around the world right now, and yeah, I'm going to end it on this note as a profane son of a bitch who happens to be a Christian, and I'll tell you this. If you look around the world right now, and you really look with your eyes, you put down your fucking smart device and look with your eyes, and you'll see what I see. Somebody is building a bloody stage, and someone's going to introduce this person, and this person's going to promise to solve all our problems.